the potential and the beauty of entrepreneurship here in Nigeria. You can also call us the Money Gang. Yeah, whatever the case is, we are here for you. Don't forget, by the way, I mean, it's good to share, right? There is love in sharing. Don't forget to share this with someone you think will also benefit. Call them up, send them a message and tell them, you know what, tune into Radio Nigeria right now. There is a show you need to listen to, whether that person owns a small business, whether the person is unemployed or employed, whatever the case is, tell somebody to listen in right now. There is a trove of treasure right here for you. As far as you have anything to do with money, business, whatever the case is, this is the right place for you. You can also head over to smegrowth.ng. I'll just spell that. That's SMEGROWTH.ng, and you can watch us live from wherever you are in the world right now. Okay, so it's not just for people in Nigeria, even for people outside Nigeria. Yes, we're good like that. So welcome once again to the Financial Literacy MSME radio show, courtesy the good people at the Bankers Committee. So what is the deal today? You may be wondering, why am I so excited? What have we brought for you? Which markets did we come to sell today? Okay, let me give you some brief introduction. I know a lot of people listening to me right now, you probably have, friends, family members overseas, or maybe you yourself, you're trying to jackpot. I know we don't usually tell the next person about our jackpot plans, but somehow it just happens. But that's not where I'm going to this evening. If you have ever wondered how money sent home by individuals living abroad can shape our nation's economy, the landscape, and how you or your business can benefit from this, then this is the right place to be, because we're talking about that all important aspect of the economy. You know why? Billions of dollars actually come into Nigeria yearly through diaspora remittances. That's what it is called, diaspora remittances. And they've become a vital financial lifeline for many countries, such as Nigeria. As I said, billions of dollars. So if that doesn't get you interested, I wonder what will get you interested. And that's what we're focusing on today on this episode of the Financial Literacy MSME radio show. Are you ready for this? If you are, let's get right into it. But there's a beauty about this show, which I just want to quickly tell you before I introduce the other members of the Money Gang. The beauty is that you can also be a part of the show. Absolutely. This is not just for us, it is for you as well. So if you want to be a part of the show, it's quite simple, okay? You just pick up your phone and call these numbers. I'll just pause so you can get ready. The numbers to be a part of this show through are 0810 608 1681. I'll take that again. That's 0810 608 1681 or 0818 202 5883. So with these numbers, you can also be a part of the conversation. Just call us, send us a message, and we promise to take your message, to take your call, and get the right response you need, okay? We are here for you, so do not be afraid, do not be worried. We will serve you right. So let's get into the conversation. Diaspora remittances. I am excited, maybe because there's billions of dollars involved. So let me introduce other members of the Money Gang this evening. I have a lady and two gentlemen joining us this evening to walk us through this vast world of diaspora remittances and the potentials. All of them together have had decades of experience in the banking and financial sector. So they are the right people for this. Adeze Oragbunam is a product officer, diaspora banking and remittances at EcoBank. She joins us right here in our Lagos studio. Adeze, it's good to have you.
Good to see you, Kaidi. Hello, Nigeria.
You can see the smile on her
So
face.
happy to be here.
Absolutely. It's always an amazing time right here on the show. We also have two gentlemen joining us virtually. Abiodun Famiwa is a head SME banking and money transfer at First Bank. Abiodun, welcome to the show. And of course, Desmond Ohama is the head of retail banking at Fidelity Bank, also joins us virtually. Desmond, it's good to see you again.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
Alrighty. So let's get right into it. Adeze, Abiodun, Desmond, Diaspora remittances, big words, big money as well, billions of dollars. But let's break it down. We don't want to imagine everybody understands what this is. Even me, Seth, I need to know what this is about. So, Adeza, let me begin with you. What exactly are remittances, diaspora remittances? Help us understand who pays it, who receives it.
Thank you, Kaidi, for that question. By diaspora remittances, this particular category of fund is actually money sent to the home country by those that have left their home countries to seek greener pastures in abroad, basically. So the diaspora remittances are sent back to their loved ones at home to get them to have more spending power, to be able to have basic need, to be able to fulfill their basic needs. Yes. So you ask me who sends this and who receives it. So who sends are those migrants, those people that have jackpot, that have left us in Nigeria here to go work to earn the good money, dollar, pounds, euro. So those people, they send this request to either their banks or on their phones. They can initiate these payments to their loved ones back here. And those people back here in Nigeria, the recipients are basically either their siblings or their aged parents receive these funds back here. So they initiate either wanting their loved ones to pick up cash or deciding to get them to pay into an account. So that is what diaspora remittances is all about. Someone sends from abroad, the person have left their native country to seek greener pastures elsewhere. That is it. Simple and short of it.
Simple and short. Thank you so much, Adeze. So in simple terms, diaspora remittances are monies sent by the jackpot to the unjackpot. If there's anything like that, basically. And I'm glad you said at least there are different channels by which this happens. But in case you're just joining us, we're talking about the all-important conversation around diaspora remittances. When you look at the quantum of diaspora remittances that come into this country, then you begin to understand why this conversation is important, why we need to build on it to help our economy. Because at this stage as a nation, we need to leverage on all of the possible, well, let's say revenue earners, or these things that build and grow our economy. And that's what we're talking about, diaspora remittances this evening. Thank you so much, Adeze, for that introduction to diaspora remittances. And let me go to Abiodu for this. You might want to add one or two things to what Adeze said. But in terms of just the channels, how it comes in, because some people might actually be getting diaspora remittances and they don't know, because maybe they've gotten used to it or it's just not clearly defined for them. So how does this economy really work in terms of the inflow? What are the channels?
Okay, thank you very much for having me. And just like Adaize mentioned, diaspora remittances is becoming very key and important to Nigeria economy because of the number of Nigerians that lives in other land. Across United States of America, we have about 400,000 Nigerians, and probably even more. Those are the official numbers. We have about 200,000 Nigerians living over there, and you can imagine the migration to Canada these days. More Nigerians are moving there. Even as at the last count, we have over 50,000 Nigerians living in Canada. So the same thing in Italy and other parts of the world. And in fact, let me also shock you. We have more migrants in African countries than we have in the Western world. That means Nigerians migrate to African countries more than we even have in the Western world. So it's actually a huge opportunity for our nation. Yes, a number of them because that, but looking at the other side of it, flip it the other way around, it's actually a blessing also for the nation because we are transferring our skills to other parts of the world, and we are in return, earning a whole lot back home. So when we're talking about the migrants, they send to their native land for various reasons, which I'm sure we're going to get to later on. And of course, such funds also are received by their beneficiaries back at home. Now, what are the channels through which this money can come in? It can actually come in through different channels. Basically, we have two broad ways to describe it: market or formal sector, or the informal. The formal one is the channel through which everybody knows you can send money through any of the international money transfer organization, Western Union, MoneyGram, RIA, World Remit, and so on and so forth. Remitly, there's so many of them. Okay, those are formal channels. And of course, we also recognize that we have other channels through which this money comes in through wire transfer. Fund can be transferred even through other means, which can be cashed also, either through the bank account and so on and so forth. But very importantly, what federal government has actually tried to also do is to open up that space so that we can have transparency around the inflow of funds. Right now, I'm aware that CBN have opened it up by licensing many of these IMTs, which either coming through the informal sector. They've done that so that we can have more transparency around it, and we can be able to know what exactly is actually coming in, because it's a very, very important area for us. Maybe I should pause here so that we can take other questions. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Abiodun, for that. So they're informal and formal, and you've touched on just some of the policies, recent policies of the government through the CBN to ensure that, we have a lot more formal channels. We'll, of course, delve into that subsequently during the course of this conversation. But I still want to stay on the quantum so we can paint the picture appropriately, or at least come close to painting the picture for our audience this evening. And I'll go to Desmond just to get a sense of, just how much of inflows, diaspora remittances do we get? Is it fair enough? Just what's the quantum of it? Desmond, if you can help us get a sense so Nigerians know indeed that, okay, maybe this is something we can indeed leverage on.
Okay, so just to add to what my colleagues said, remittances are live wire to most countries. And I can tell you that remittances follow migration pattern. Because we have a good number of Nigerians living abroad, we are having huge inflows coming into the country. Looking at UN or World Bank reports, last year, the country recorded $21 billion into this country, which is quite huge. We're the second largest in Africa. Number one is Egypt. So it's huge. And every country struggles to boost supply of foreign exchange into the economy because of its impact on balance of trade, on foreign exchange rate, and a couple of other things. So our biggest exports are actually our people who are leaving the shores of this country and working in all parts of the world and remitting money back here. So for us, is a good thing. Is one area the government the regulator and the government is working very hard to harness. The impact on the economy is enormous. We see it in various ways. It's helping poorer recipients to meet basic needs, by able to fund cash and non-cash investments. For some people, it's even seed capital for setting up businesses. The finance, education, finance, healthcare, foster new businesses, service debt, and drive overall economic growth. So if you look at the numbers, in fact, compared with the receipts from oil, in 5 months this year, the country received about $11 billion from oil receipts. So if you put that side by side with diaspora remittances, you can see that oil just slightly higher than what we are getting from diaspora remittances. It's one area that we need to continue to harness or continue to boost inflows into the country. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Desmond. You made a fantastic point there. And it looks like this should be our new oil, really, or at least we should pay attention to this, just how much we can get from diaspora remittances. Because if you say that, I mean, I think the target is even over $20 billion now. I think it's close to $26 billion as a target that we're trying to reach. So if we are able to reach that means we'll be doing more with diaspora remittances than we're doing with oil. So there's a vast world of opportunities there. So let's dive deeper into this. This is getting me excited. If you're just joining us, this is a Financial Literacy MSME radio show brought to you by the Bankers Committee. And today we're discussing diaspora remittances and how it can improve the economy. Now, when we talk about the economy, this is what we mean. We talk about unemployment, for example. It can actually help the unemployment rates. The MBS just released figures recently, and a lot of people, of course, fall in either the employed or unemployed category. But the good thing is we can harness the strength, if I can say that, from diaspora remittances and use it to create jobs. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking maybe the value of the naira to the dollar. How can that, improve that as well? So there are a lot of economic indices that diaspora remittances can help the nation improve upon. In case you've got any question, I've seen some calls already. In case you want to be a part of the show, if you have questions, comments, what have you, pick up your phone and call us or message us on 0810-608-1681 or 0818-202-5883. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm too fast, right? Sorry. It's diaspora remittances that caused it. I'll take it slower now. 0810-608-1681 or 0818-202-5883. And I'll come back to Adeze now, because a lot of people have seen people jackpotting as brain drain. And I remember someone saying, how about we see it as brain gain? We are giving out our talents to an extent and getting something in return for that one. But let's talk about how it affects some of the economic indices. And I'll begin with investment and entrepreneurial activities. How can we leverage on diaspora remittances to boost activity in terms of investment and entrepreneurship? Is that possible?
Sure, it's very possible to leverage on that to improve investment and entrepreneurial activities. How? So this remittance fund sets are being utilized in so many ways.
Yeah.
Not just for the recipients to feed on. For some of these funds that are coming, the recipients also utilize that funds to improve upon their businesses. They add the funds into their business and it aids them to actually be able to build up on whatever they have going for them. And for some of these funds that come into, you see some of these people venturing out to start up something with it. They have received these funds and they need to also harness the funds to be able to earn more. So they start up, you see them starting up like the POS businesses. If you don't have funds to actually get to enroll into one of the agency operations, you can actually utilize that funds, get your own POS, have funds to be able to turn around and build on the profits you gain from there. Then investments, on the aspect of investments, let's take for an instance the real estate business. No matter how you've run away, you've seen a better economy and you're enjoying all.
Home is always home.
Home is always home.
Yeah.
There's no place like home. And these people will still want to have investments back home. Yeah. They still want to come back to Nigeria to have the feel of what they used to taste before they left the shores of Nigeria. So they still invest in the real estate, and this real estate investment creates jobs. Take for an instance, Lagos have a very big, robust real estate business, and we've gotten, at least we are privileged to be working in the sector that actually grants these people loans and all whatnot. We've gotten requests, how do I leverage, how do I invest in this particular real estate they have some homes, housing estates that they've brought up. I want to partake of what it has to offer. And of course, real estate never goes down. These funds come in, they create jobs for the people that want to build let's take for an instance, their rural villages. Of course, they're giving jobs to people around there, the construction sites workers, and also the developers in the rural areas. So for this category of the economy, remittance funds is actually a huge addition to the country's economy. So it's very important and is a strength from abroad, wherever it is, whether other African countries or other Western worlds, is actually a strength from abroad.
And I think it was Desmond that said earlier on that Nigeria gets the second highest remittance in Africa, next to Egypt, and let's say $21 billion, and we can even do better. But I like the fact that we're now tying this to specifics, and you've talked about real estate, for example. So don't just see diaspora remittances as money for the boys or money for chops, money for pizza or what have you. It's actually money that is meant to come into the country and help our economy. I mean, it's real business. So I'm glad we're having this conversation. So when next you get the alert from someone abroad, because I imagine that every Nigerian at least has one family member or distant family member abroad in one way or the other. They can also be a part of building the nation's economy through diaspora remittances. And, talking about entrepreneurship activities, it boosts employment. People get employed. It takes people out of poverty. So again, as I said, this is not just money for the boys or money for the weekend or money for pizza. This is money for the nation's economy. Let me go over to Abiodun and get him to also speak on just how diaspora remittances in real life promote economic growth and development. There's an infrastructure angle, there's technological advancement, there's income distribution and poverty reduction. Just in what real ways that people can relate to are these diaspora remittances meant to boost our economy?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think let me take it from where there is a stopped. And I'm happy also that Desmond also mentioned that in real fact, yes, Nigeria is number 2. We're actually number 1 at one time. And why did we have Egypt climbing over Nigeria? That happened in the very recent times because of the huge investment in real estate. Many of these Egyptians stays in the UAE, Axis, Saudi Arabia. So they decided really in real estate back home in Egypt. So because of that huge investment in real estate, we have a whole lot of activities going on in Egypt. So they were able to remit a number of funds back home. But Nigeria is in the top 10 as we speak now. And there are huge opportunity also available for us in Nigeria. For instance, if you look at as far back as a few years ago, Nigeria diaspora remittances is responsible for about 6.1% of our GDP. That's huge. That's massive.
Wow.
Although we have some other countries in the world like Gambia that are even that remittances is even up to about 28%. We can see that this is not about poverty alleviation. And like you rightly said, it's not about brain drain. It's actually brain gain. I'll give you a classical example. I know somebody that came to Nigeria from the UK back 2-3 weeks ago that stopped over at my place. And what is the essence of coming to Nigeria? In Nigeria, of course, is to be able to invest back home. He is a tech guru. He has seen huge opportunity, massive opportunity in Nigeria here. And he has decided to set up a company back home where it can actually establish and do quite. We see a lot of foreigners coming into Nigeria almost every day. Why? Because Nigeria is still a very massive place for us to be able to invest. So we can actually talk about investment in mortgages. We can also look at other areas where Nigeria can actually invest in agriculture. We have vast land across the whole place where we can actually get Nigerians to come and farm back home. I know some Nigerians already doing that, running to hectares of land, okay, bringing money back home to invest. And of course, like you rightly said about seed investment. So some are also already seeing opportunities in that area to also invest back home. So diaspora banking or remittances is an area where Nigeria can actually benefit a whole lot from. We have seen the growth during the period of the COVID-19. We know the impact that actually have. It has actually helped us a whole lot. Okay, like I remember Dabiri was telling us that even looking at the figure that came in through FDI compared to what came into diaspora bank, it's almost 4 times. So that's huge and massive. So this is something that I believe that with Nigerians, younger ones, younger generations moving abroad with their skills, I believe that they are also going to not only remit that, but going to be investing a whole lot back home once the environment is conducive enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Abiodun, for that. I like the fact that you mentioned some other sectors that are viable. Mortgage, for example, agriculture. I tell you, agriculture is big. So if you're listening to us from outside the country, or you have a family member outside the country, diaspora remittances can come into agriculture as well. You know why? Because people would most likely eat before they do anything. Okay, so food is important. Real estate as well. People need a place to stay in. So again, don't just see this money as loose money. These are monies that can be invested in Nigeria's economy, in real sectors, and you will get your real profit. Hey, that's why we're here, to give you the right financial advice, okay? We're due for a break in just about 3 minutes, but I need Desmond to weigh in on this one. There's a part where I need to get clarity on how this is different from FDIs. But Desmond, you can add to this conversation around just, the areas that diaspora remittances can promote economic growth and development specifically before we go on break.
Okay, so just like my colleagues said, diaspora remittances boosting FS supply into the economy is a veritable source of foreign exchange. It's the same thing with FDIs. However, FDIs are different. FDIs is a category of cross-border investment in which investor residents in one economy establishes a lasting interest in or a significant degree of influence over an enterprise resident in another country. So these are, refers to purchase of an asset in another country by other nationals. It's different. Why we emphasize so much on these remittances is the fact that Nigerians are the first to boost confidence in their country. If Nigerians are investing in their country, that we see in the volumes we are receiving today, the FDIs would also, take a cue from that. So the increased focus on getting the diasporans to look, back home is the fact that we see a lot of gaps that they can fill. Is it in terms of knowledge transfer? Is it in the health sector? I was in New York barely 2 months ago for a conference of Nigerian doctors. Nigerians, have the largest number of doctors apart from any national in the US. So we are doing quite well. We're also facilitating that transfer of knowledge back home and supporting the local economy here. You see the impact in various sectors, from education to health and all that. So direct diaspora remittances are, quite very, very supportive of the local economy. Because today we see that the biggest challenge we're having in this country is supply of foreign exchange. So if we're able to boost the supplies, it will also impact on foreign exchange, impact on balance of trade and all that. Thank you.
Absolutely important point you just touched on there, Desmond, FX, foreign exchange. And we'll get deeper into that when we return from this break. Don't forget, we're still discussing the impact of diaspora remittances on the economy. So stay with us. I still have Adeze, Abiodun, and Desmond, and we'll be taking your calls and messages when we return in a moment. Stay with us. Sorry, Adeze, do you want to speak on the FDI and diaspora remittance part? Do you want to speak on the FDI? You're welcome back to the Financial Literacy MSME radio show brought to you by the Bankers Committee. I'm Kayode Okikiolu, and I tell you, we've been having an amazing time here today talking about diaspora remittances. You know, I never knew just how much opportunities lie in that aspect. It just looks like it's in one corner doing its thing, and a lot of us are missing out on it. So in order not to miss out on that vast world of diaspora remittances, we brought to you that conversation today because, believe it or not, everybody, literally everyone, has someone or someone they know abroad who sends in money one way or the other. But the good thing is we can convert that money to build our economy, and that's exactly what we're talking about today. Adeze, Abiodun, and Desmond, brilliant minds, really, I must tell you. They've opened my eyes, and I imagine they've opened your eyes to a lot of things in the diaspora remittance. Well, I call it subsector now, for the lack of a better term. So let's get on with the conversation. By the way, our phone lines are open. Yes, you can be a part of the show right now. So call us, text us, 0810 608 1681. I am sorry if I did not pick your call earlier on. We were just getting into the thick of the conversation, but we're ready to take your calls now and your messages. So 0818 202 5883. That's the other number to call in case you have questions about diaspora remittances. Maybe you want to know what channels they should come in from, or you want to know just maybe what are the viable sectors to look into to maybe advise someone out there. Whatever your question is, maybe you even have challenges, or you want to just know what the latest thinking of government is about diaspora remittances. Ask us. We've got it for you. Adeze, let me come to you now about this difference, or if there is, between diaspora remittances and foreign direct investment. Desmond had scratched the surface for us, but just help us understand. Of course, you hear diaspora remittance, you hear FDI, and you're wondering what's the difference? Which do I even tell those people abroad to get involved with? Adeze, please help us out further.
So I will take the differences, I will take it in like 3 or 4 dimensional point of view, starting with the source of funds. How the funds, diaspora remittances, how it differs from the foreign direct investments. For diaspora remittances, the source of funds usually come from the earnings of the migrants who are usually part of the labor force in foreign countries. While for the FDIs, that is the foreign direct investments, these sorts of funds are usually initiated by the multinational corporations, the institutional that are seeking to expand their business operations or gain access into new markets, basically enter into new markets in foreign countries and take up a presence there. For what? What's the purpose? For the purpose is that actually want to establish that presence, build on, the presence is actually centered around seeking for profits, of course, and gaining access to resources. Then in the course, they transfer this technology advancements to us. You see new things coming in from these foreign direct investors, you know, and for The purpose of the diaspora remittances, the primary purpose of this, like we've said, is that it provides financial support to families and friends in the home country being Nigeria now.
Yeah.
And they are basically used for consumption and household expenses, though it can also be utilized for other means. Then what are the impacts? For diaspora remittances, we've talked about poverty reduction, we've talked about entrepreneurship, we've talked about real estate investments, and for foreign direct investment, the impact is that they bring in new technologies. It creates jobs.
Right.
You know, diaspora remittances creates jobs, and this FDI creates jobs too. And they kind of stimulate the economic growth and contribute generally to our industrial development. And what is the duration of inflows? For diaspora remittances is recurring.
Yeah.
You see some of those migrants sending funds back home monthly, quarterly, according to how they feel their loved ones need this assistance.
Right.
And for foreign direct investment is usually a going concern. It's for long-term investment.
Okay. I like the way you've laid it out, really. FDIs versus diaspora remittance. And just to add to that, I recall, I think it was the chairman of NICOM, the chairperson of NICOM, that's Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, that said that remittances, which is what we're talking about, diaspora remittances from Nigerians abroad, actually quadrupled FDIs. Yes, you heard that right. So FDIs at that point was doing what, about $5 billion approximately. And diaspora remittances from our people abroad was doing $21 billion. So naturally, we have a comparative advantage in that area. Yes, we can develop or improve on both, but the point of this conversation is that we need to even leverage on this the more. And we're essentially opening the eyes of you, and of course, prospective remitters, if I can say that, to business ideas, ways that they can improve the nation's economy. Apparently, I mean, this is the only nation you really have, Nigeria. It's our home, and we are really blessed. So let's leverage on those blessings. Let me go over to Abiodun now and, get your thinking now, or really the situation of things when it comes to government's policy on diaspora remittance. I know the CBN has been quite busy these days, particularly on diaspora remittances, just trying to make things easier. So what can you tell us about that for people who have probably had it difficult getting it in dollar, and it's just dollar alone? What is a new thing? What's the new thinking in that area?
Okay, thank you very much. Diaspora remittances has grown over the years, and I can see that central bank has been in the forefront of shaping policies to be able to drive the growth in diaspora remittances. In the recent times, central bank has made moves, like I mentioned literally earlier on, that they've opened up the space. International Money Transfer Organization to actually be officially licensed. I remember back in 1996, when remittance started, it was only First Bank and Western Union that went into some partnership, and other banks in Nigeria were sub-agents, signed as sub-agents under First Bank. But over time, we could see that it's a very big market. So this space has been opened up by central bank. They've also ensured that there are no limitation to number of IMTOs you can actually deal with. So you are free to sign on as many or want to sign on as a bank. This policy has actually enabled many deposit money agent banks to actually partner with the likes of Western Union, MoneyGram, Ria, and so many other ones, especially the fintech ones like Remitly, Ria, World Remit, and so on and so forth. So we have a whole host of them, numbering over 60 IMTOs now that we can actually partner with. This move by central bank has enabled opportunities for Nigerians abroad to choose whichever way. And there's always one particular money transfer organizations wherever Nigerians so promoted competition and enabled to bring down the cost of sending funds to Nigeria, unlike when it was just about 2 or 3 or 4 players in this space. But now with central bank opening it up, we see that a whole lot of options are now there for Nigerians abroad. You can decide to go with the cheaper ones, and transfers can also reach us in a faster way. You can actually get your transfer within 24 hours now. Your relation or beneficiary can pick the fund. Now, another policy the central bank has actually put in place to encourage remittances, ensure that back home, you can actually get that fund either in Naira or in US dollars into your domiciliary account, actually. What does this one portend? It means that even for me as a Nigerian, I can actually decide, even if I want to send money to my brother back and I want the value to still remain in dollar. Central bank has made a provision that by policy that I can actually send to the dollar from maybe United States of America to my beneficiary in Nigeria, and the fund will go in directly into the person's domiciliary account, even if he does not have a DOM account. One of the policies that also came out at the same time is that for those who are living in Nigeria who have lost touch with their relations back home, or who may not even have confidence in sending money through an individual back home in Nigeria, central bank has also provided opportunities such that that fund can actually go into a domiciliary account of yours. So banks have been enabled and empowered to automatically create a domiciliary account, okay, for Nigerians abroad, so that they cannot have an account here that fund can actually remit to without going through anybody. So really? I don't need to go through anybody. There's no restriction. Yes, no restriction at all. Nothing like go and bring one document or the other. That by central bank to make sure that fund can actually go directly into your account without any third party getting involved. This one has also enabled us to see building confidence in many of Nigerians over there who doesn't want their relation back home, for instance, to know their worth, maybe for particular investment in Nigeria. So I can actually do it alone. I can decide to send that fund directly into my account in Nigeria without going through any third party, either in dollar or as I choose to do. So those opportunities have been made available. And now, one of the major challenges we also had before was that before now, you discover that Nigerians are brutal a lot with the high cost of sending funds. But we discovered that with the recent opening up of all these IMTOs, number one, it has achieved 2 things. One, now Nigerians can send through cheaper means. 2, we also discovered that a number of them that money flow in through informal sources. You just see some money just eating some people's accounts in Nigeria here without even knowing, or through some banks. Now, CBN has said, look, come to us. We can actually register you officially, and we can be able to trace that fund. So a lot of openness has actually been opened up by central bank. Thank you very much.
I've got quite a reel out there about the recent policies of the central bank. And let me go to Desmond on this one. By the way, you can also be a part of the conversation, as I've said earlier on. So just call us or send us a message via those numbers 0810-608-1681 or 0818-202-5883. Desmond, I just remember the case of India. India is like one of the examples of how diaspora remittances actually works. Over $100 billion in diaspora remittance for India. And, they weren't doing as much as that just somewhat 6-7 years ago, but they leveraged on it. And that just shows what is ahead for Nigeria if we do this the right way. So in terms of just, how this works, some of the new policies and essentially how we need to build on this. I don't know if you want to add something to what Abiodun has said before I take in some of the questions that have come in.
Just like Abiodun said, and you rightly pointed out, India has, with a population of about 1.4 billion, well, a population of 1.4 billion, is remitting over $111 billion as of last year. So followed by Mexico, $61.1 billion, China, $51.0 billion, Philippines, $38 billion, Pakistan, $29 billion, Egypt, $28.3 billion, Bangladesh, $1.5 before Nigeria, about $21 billion. So a lot has happened in that economy. Just like I said, the Nigerian has to believe in your country, and that is what our people are doing by remitting these funds. So they've shown a lot of belief, in their country. So and that has impact on the FDIs that we talked about. Studies shows that 70% of the funds that come in are actually for upkeep, while 30% is for investment. For us, the 30% is where we're doubling down on. How do we get our people to further build that particular number so that we would have a lot of investments, from this inflows. Some cities are a typical example, cities like, say, for example, Edo State, where you have a lot of people living abroad. You find out there are massive investments going on in those areas because of the support from our people in diaspora. So government is doing quite a lot. It was because of this that government set up NIGHTCOM that you talked about. NIGHTCOM is there coordinating Nigerian diaspora to ensure that we benefit in all the areas. And a good number of them are hitting the call, or you can see, good Nigerians doing very well and also supporting the local economy in so many ways. The doctors are doing their bit around the health sector. The pharmacists are also doing quite well. We saw that during COVID and all of that. So there's a lot we're tapping from the space. However, the recent wave we're seeing in terms of migration trend is being seen as if we're losing these people. It's just like the other said, it's actually brain gain because these guys are going to be our biggest exports. And they are gathering this knowledge, they're coming back to also invest in local language. So the Indians are known for organizing themselves in the diaspora, and that is why they are doing so much in terms of the volumes they are remitting into their country. We're seeing that happen in Nigeria, and increasingly, we'll continue to see that happening. But there's a particular, initiative done by the Philippines. Their nurses, they have a transfer program where they go to Canada, train, and they stay for a particular period, and that enhances what comes in back into the country. We would also appreciate the likes of NIGHTCOM to look at organized migration. Those are one area we will continue to boost what is happening. And then if we're able to do it, most of our people who are dying in the desert and all that will follow a better pathway out of the country, and we can truly harness from them the benefits therein. So we believe that there's a lot to be done in this space. And some countries are actually topping the chart when it comes to these volumes. And it would be good to mention them. Some countries like the United States, they're doing quite a lot. Of course, there are a lot of Nigerians living in US, Canada, Germany, South Africa, France, Ireland, Netherlands, China, and shockingly, Africa. The 50% of people that leave Nigeria on their way out of the country to the Western world end up in Africa. And Africa is quite huge in terms of volumes. The Ghana corridor, the Cameroon corridor is doing quite a lot into this country. So it is one area we need to, give that laser focused attention to harness everything we need to get to support the local economy. Thank you.
I like the way you said it. Laser focus. We need to really pay attention to this one. And you know what I found out about Nigerians, wherever they are in this world, they always love home. There's nothing like seeing that Nigerian flag wherever you are in the world. You just does something to you. You look for Nigerian food wherever you are. You look for someone speaking your language. It just shows how much Nigerians love Nigeria wherever they are. So let's step up that love and help translate that love into economic growth. So in case you have someone abroad, you can recommend this conversation to them, okay? Right after this show, just tell them, go over to smegrowth.ng and they can listen to this again. If they still have time, they can join us right now just to listen or even ask questions that they have about diaspora remittances and how they can leverage on it. You know what? Let me give you an economy hack quickly as we wind down on the show. Yes, there's a lot of inflation out there. There's a lot of uncertainty. But the beauty about investing back home is that you are sure that your money at least is in the right place, okay? Is where you at least know your people, where you are sure that these people are my people. I know trust is a major issue, but I'm glad Abiodun talked about what banks, what the CBN is doing now to ensure that you can have your domiciliary account without stress, without hassle, and you can monitor your funds. So really, some of these hurdles are being crossed easily by these policies. So let's coast home now. We're winding down on this conversation, and I'll come back to Adeze on this one. So we've talked about how we need to improve on it. I hope we can do $50 billion, you know, maybe in a couple of years. It's not so much to ask for, right? But how does this help us improve our forex? Because that's like the elephant in the room. We have talked about foreign exchange. Can this also help us in our naira to dollar, naira to pound conversation? Maybe if we know that it will help us, we can put more effort in it.
Yes, it's actually helping.
Mm.
Because let's take for an instance when these funds come in, if we actually grow these funds and more of them come in other than what we are presently having, it grows astronomically to what
I'm protecting.
See, now we are talking about how much is naira to $1. We know what the exchange rate talks about today. But if we have more of these funds coming into the economy, what does it do for us? It actually removes the pressure because there will be enough foreign exchange in circulation. People they don't have to start seeking for how to get these funds. Central bank will have more funds to actually do their interventions with, you understand?
Yeah.
So these funds, when it comes in, we remove pressure from the exchange rate. We will have enough funds to also fund our imports. Of course, those that import the required resources into the country, you see them going from pillar to post, looking for foreign exchanges to fund their trade. We will have enough of this, and it will lessen the pressure on the exchange rate, and naira will be stronger for it. And families will have those that receive the recipients will have more purchasing power. And of course, now they don't have much purchasing power because of what is happening. The depreciation is affecting everyone. The economy is just here and there. But more of these funds is going to give us so much relief, not just for the poverty reduction,
right?
A lot of currency stability is going to happen.
So all of us
trade.
Yeah, so everyone actually has a job to do in this one, both Nigerians in Nigeria and Nigerians outside Nigeria. And I think it was Desmond that was saying that, 70% of the remittances are essentially for, consumption, upkeep, and the rest, 30% for maybe business activity. So we can actually improve on that 30% and ensure that we also put that money to good use, help to create jobs, help to, improve essentially the economic indices. Inflation is also a big one. But let's wind down, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll allow Abiodun and Desmond just give their final thoughts on this, particularly people who are listening from abroad or people who have people abroad and they're thinking, okay, trust is a major issue. Okay, so I want to send this money, I want to invest, but who do I go to? How do I go about it? Even as a Nigerian here, who do I go to get the funds and then maybe invested appropriately? Let me start with Abiodun. We're winding down in about 2 minutes or less now. Abiodun, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Kayode. Actually, the last part you touched, very, very key. Nigeria, as we all know, we have the largest Black population in the world, over 200 million people. To me, that is a huge opportunity. And looking at the statistics, the number of doctors, for instance, we have outside there, I am looking forward to Nigerians investing back home. Some of the challenges we have that is those who are going abroad for medical treatment. I'm looking forward to medical doctors outside there investing back home, setting up standard hospitals like what India have actually done. Many Nigerians now go to India for treatment because they've actually been able to, the private sector have been able to rise up to that challenge. Also, what about the schools? So it's an area that we can actually invest more in, set up standard schools, standard universities, even in the area of feeding that we mentioned. We have vast land that we can actually, utilize in Nigeria. So I'm looking forward to Nigerians over there actually coming back home to invest a whole lot, like you said, 50%. And let me drop this last word.
Okay.
When you think about inflow into Nigeria, you are looking at three basic things, actually. We talk about export, non-oil export. All of us know about oil export, but the non-oil export is one area that can generate fund into Nigeria, which is the other one. It is actually the diaspora remittance. That is another big masquerade. Yes,
that's the next oil
in the market. Thank you very much.
We're totally out of time.
Thank you.
Desmond, your final words on this. We have just less than about 30 seconds to go.
So for me, if you're a Nigerian living in any part of the world, the banks are working very hard to ensure that you can seamlessly inflow these funds back home. We've gone on to set up diaspora banking, where you can bank from any part of the world as if you are living in Nigeria. We also have products like diaspora mortgage, where you can actually, from where you are, you can actually get a mortgage loan to acquire a finished property. So we see the enormous potentials in the area, and then we have provided products and services. We have a dedicated team catering to your needs and ensuring that, look, you also take advantage of the growing Nigerian economy. The yield here is significant. You can take advantage of it.
So if you're listening, go over to any of the members of the Bankers Committee. They'll help you out. You can trust them. I'd like to thank you so much, Adeze Oregbunam, Abiodun Famuyiwa, and Desmond Awama for the insightful conversation we've had today on diaspora remittances. Thank you so much. And on behalf of the production crew, Bolanle Oyemi is the Director of FRCN Lagos Operations, Maria Uwama is the Assistant Director of Programs, and of course, the engineering crew, Latif Olaside, Daniel Kuye, Dowu Sebiu, and Real Analadeja, and of course, Samuel, who's doing the video recording. Gentlemen and ladies, it's been a pleasure. I'm Kaido Kikulu. In all you do, don't forget to